Hello, everyone. So this video is going to cover the ministry-based goals model for your business in figuring out your overhead. And this is the only model out of all of the four that I'm going to be discussing that doesn't have a dollar amount associated with it because it is a service-focused goal set versus any monetary value. However, there's still a lot of stuff I want to cover about it because even though you are not necessarily making money on these projects, you still shouldn't be paying for these projects out of your pocket necessarily. There is some stuff that you should be calculating or could be calculating, no judgment either way, but that you could be calculating to find out some interesting things about what you're doing with this type of base. So I'm going to go over those today right now and just we're going to touch on the goals here. So if you do any sort of sewing that you do not take money for, if you maybe do military sewing, if you do project like angel gowns where you make bereavement garments, Project Linus where you make baby blankets for hospitals, stuff like that, where you're not taking any money in at all for the work. And this could be part of your business. So your business could bring some money in and you do this as a side project or you do it as like a holiday feature that you offer, to show your customers that you do some nice things for the community. I'm going to go over how to use a sheet as well. I think this is probably going to be one of the most important pieces for this type of I don't want to keep calling it a business base because it's not really, like I said, it's a non-income generating style. But I think this type of form will be really helpful if this is your main method of work, or even if you just use this as a component of your business. Knowing how much you volunteer your time or your supplies or whatever is really helpful to you for a lot of reasons that we're going to go over here today. So I have my notes written out here, and I'll make this available to you guys if you want to read this a little more closely. So obviously the hard values for ministry-based goals is not going to be monetary, but it will be more of tabulating your time and how you use your materials. So it's good to pay attention to how much consumable supplies you use: thread, chalk, rotary blades, etc., so that how much you're actually donating of your personal funds. Your volunteer hours cannot be put on your taxes, unfortunately, but you could at least still, if you do itemization on your personal taxes, you could at least put those on there. So those are items that will have some value to you if you do that come tax time. And that's going to be helpful for you to save receipts and to know how much goes into that, stuff like that. You also maintain your machines and tune-ups and stuff to clean your iron, water for your iron, all those little things there. Those are all money that you're spending, fees that you could be saving your money and your receipts. I mean, saving your receipts to be able to use those come tax time to help lessen the burden. It's absolutely okay to sew from your heart, but making sure that you're not doing it in a way that's going to put a financial burden on you is really important, because you want to be sustainable about how you're giving your charitable time, because otherwise it might start feeling heavy and not the nice feeling that it should give you when you're doing this form of sewing for people. So this is the most important section on here, is why I do this. Like, why does it even matter to track any of this stuff? This was a solid lesson that I learned over mask making time. I know no one wants to talk about that anymore, but basically, if you keep track of what you do, time-wise, and if you keep track of what you can do with your supplies, you can accept a donation from someone who wants to help you, because maybe they don't sew, but they see what you're doing and they like it and they want to give you X amount of dollars to keep doing what you're doing. And you can actually use that to help fund what you're working on, instead of just you paying for it yourself. And it's always nice to say, hey, that $10 you gave me, I bought, five, I'm trying to think of an actual number. I bought 5 new spools of thread, and that helped me finish off 10 blankets. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that donation you made to me. And yes, that's nice to say thank you to people, but it also reminds them that, you're doing that project and that they made a donation once, and maybe they might make another donation to you again to keep your project going. So at the end of every year, I'll send out a thing to anybody who donated to me for a certain project, and I just say, hey, thank you so much. I was actually able to do X, Y, and Z with your money. I donated it to this place, and I really appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I wouldn't have that information if I didn't keep track of it. And I feel like that's a really great way to show people some professionalism. And again, just to kind of put some value, put some numbers on it so that people know that you're doing something really good with the money. It's a nice, just transparent way, because no one wants to donate to a cause that they don't know what they're doing with the money. It's not, none of us like that. We all like to know where our money is being spent. And even if you don't have a formal 501c3, nonprofit status, that's totally fine. People can still donate you money. It's just not tax write-off for them. And some people don't care if it is or not. I had people donate me material. I had people donate me cash, and stuff like that, because I didn't really want to take in mask money as part of my business. I wanted to be able to give some away. Some people donated money to keep my project going, which was really great. So at the end of the day, everything kind of ended up being a wash, but that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want there to be a tax issue at the very end of everything. So these are also good for your social media. So if anybody is wanting to donate you a big, roll of batting, you'll know if you can even take that in, if that's even going to be something you can fit into your house. You'll make space for it if you can. Or if somebody wants to give you 50 bags of scrap, you'll know how long that'll take you to work through, if you have space to break it down, all that good stuff. So you don't accidentally take too much stuff that you can't fit in your home, or you can't sew out in time or whatever. So keeping track of your sewing will be really helpful, just information to have. So I use this project tracker that I've made here, and it's really, really simple. You can use this for a few different styles of work, but I'm going to kind of go through how to use this for this type. So really simple. You put the project title up here. So you could do by the singular task, or you could do let's say if you sew for Project Linus, let's say you could do June hours, so you go through there by the month and you fill out all of your, time slots of all the projects you did. So maybe you went to a meetup and you cut fabric for an hour. You'll know exactly, you could write down here maybe how many bags worth of pieces or how many yards worth of fabric you got broken down in that time, just keep track of what's going on there. So that'll tell you a couple of things. That'll tell you you've put a little time on your scissors. So maybe at the end of the month you will need a scissor sharpening or new blades or something like that. That'll kind of tell you where you're at with everything, how many blades you burn through, or how many sharpenings you need for the year. You can go back through and look at the paper and see what's normal for you, or a scissor replacement after, let's say you burn through your scissors, maybe after 3 months worth of cutting, you can look and be like, oh, wow, I only get, 8 hours of full cutting before my scissors are toast, or something like that. You'll be able to quantify that in a way that's meaningful for you, versus just, going through the steps without thinking about it too hard. This also will help you. Like I said, if you get a big roll of batting to break down, you'll say, okay, I cut for 2 hours. I got 8 quilts worth for the size I'm going for, and someone donated that to me. I can say, thank you so much, Mr. So-and-so. I was able to make 8 quilts to donate with your batting donation. I appreciate you so much, kind of thing. So this will give you that information that, just those little things that kind of help give you not just legitimacy, but help you kind of build sustainability into what you're doing. So that way, not everything's coming out of your pocket all the time, and vice versa. So if somebody wants to donate to you and says, what do you need? What can I do for you? You can actually give them an answer that's going to be meaningful for you. And you say, you know what? I am working on quilts. I have tops made, and I need about 8 more sheets of batting. Would you like to donate, $20? I'm going to buy it when it's on sale. And then they can say yes. And it's a meaningful donation versus, just a willy-nilly something or other. And it will be all captured then if you keep it month by month. You can also keep this project by project. If you like that better, you could do one full quilt out, or one full lap blanket, or whatever your project is that you're donating. You could go through and just do one. It's however you want to, what information you want to find is what information you need to collect. So whatever you want to pull out of it is what you need to put into it to start with. So if I was wanting to know how long one angel gown took me, the complete finished, from tearing the dress down to the final product, I will be able to capture the entire life cycle if I wanted to see how long each one takes me. The other reason you might want to keep all of this information is that there are some websites on the internet, and I just wrote it down briefly because it's very minor, but there's some websites out there where you can track your volunteer hours, and they'll send you coupons or thank yous or nice little stuff out there. So that's definitely something to keep in mind because who doesn't love some coupons? You also might be able to document that, and if you have kids at your church that need service hours, you could know, hey, you could come over and help me cut for this project, and and that'll give you 3 service hours. So that is also helpful information, just to kind of have. And again, that way you can kind of build some work-life balance. You don't want to be sewing for free all of the time. You want to be able to do some things for yourself. I mean, you don't have to sew for profit all the time, but you at least want to be able to factor in, let's say maybe you've been going overboard and you're doing 60 hours of free sewing. That's going to be exhausting for you. So build in some time for you to do other tasks that fill your heart back up. Anytime you're doing charitable sewing, it takes a tax on your heart because it's exhausting thinking about kids that are in the hospital or babies that have passed away, or all of these things all have kind of like I don't want to say they're all sad, but they all have a toll they take on you. So if you're going to do lots of free sewing, consider that you also do something restorative for yourself to go along with this. So maybe for every 10 hours of sewing that you do for a charitable purpose, give yourself 2 hours of cookie making at home, or hanging out with your friends or something like that, just to kind of build some balance there, so you're not just sewing in a state of giving all the time. You got to fill yourself back up too. So all right, well, that's going to kind of wrap me up for this particular portion. Like I said, when there's not money involved, things are a lot easier as far as everything goes. We're still going to cover the other 3 in separate videos, so that way you can kind of see how they all are different. Like I said, this is really nice and simple, ministry based. There's little to no money involved, but that way you can get some meaningful donations from people who want to help keep your projects going. If you're worried about sounding braggish about putting out how much your output is, don't worry about it. Anytime you're doing ministry sewing, talk about it. It's not bragging. You're trying to gain more people to see what you're doing to attract interest, because you might spark a desire in somebody else to want to work for or sew for or collect fabric for this ministry that you believe in. So, I mean, what's wrong with that? It sounds great, doesn't it? So if you're worried about sounding like you're bragging, I made 10 quilts this month and donated them, don't worry about it. Let that go. People will be really excited to help you out if you share with them the data that you're collecting on what you're doing, and most people will want to help you out in some sort of meaningful way, and I think that's really awesome. So alrighty, as usual, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them for me below, and I'll get back with you. Thank you, guys.